spoken to talent from impoverished Pakistan. Because of his achievements in restoring human dignity to Pakistan's most vulnerable communities, including poor women, people with disabilities, and transgenders, Dr. Saqib has received worldwide recognition, including most recently the Islamic Economy Award by His Highness Sheikh Hamdan bin Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, Crown Prince of Dubai. He's the recipient of Social Entrepreneur of the Year Award of 2018 by World Economic Forum and Schwab Foundation, and Commonwealth's 31st Point of Light Award by Queen Elizabeth II in 2018. In addition to this, he's also been awarded a Lifetime Achievement Award in 2015 by Abu Dhabi Islamic Bank and Thomson Reuters. The President of Pakistan bestowed him with Sitara Imtiaz, one of the most coveted civil awards in Pakistan. In addition to being an author and a social developer, he's a student of Shoaib Sultan Khan Saab, who is extremely delighted to start this conversation. Mr. Khan has a presentation to share with our audience, and without further ado, I'm going to give the floor over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Well, I don't know what to say. Actually, when I think of Amjad Saqib, I'm reminded of Allama Shibli, whose granddaughter was married to my elder brother. And Maulana Azad was his student. So somebody asked Allama that, how's your student? And he said, which student? He said, Allama, what about our Maulana Azad? He said, well, if he considers me his friend, I'll be very happy. Now, Amjad has gone far beyond me, and this is his greatness that he still calls himself as my mentor, which is very kind of him. And I'm very grateful to him that he doesn't miss any opportunity of projecting me. So thank you very much, Amjad. Let me start with something which might set the scene. And this is now 67th year of my working experience. And this video, which I'm going to show, this was delivered about 11 years ago at the United Nations. Have a look at it.
Excellencies, I'm indeed most grateful to Madam Chair for inviting me to speak at the 17th session of the Commission on Sustainable Development. When I look back on over 55 years of my working life in government, United Nations, Aga Khan Foundation, and rural support programs, my greatest successes and satisfaction were when I succeeded in forging genuine and meaningful partnerships with communities. Over 50 years ago, my mentor, Hamid Khan, about whom Nobel laureate Professor Yunus wrote, "It is not enough to say that he was a great man. He was one of the great human beings of the past century. He was so much ahead of everybody else that he was seen more as a misfit than appreciated for his greatness. We have a lot to discover and a whole lot to learn from him." Dr. Hamid Khan taught me my first lessons in forging partnerships with communities. But it is only during the last 30 years that I got the opportunity, thanks initially to UNCRD and then to UNICEF and later to UNDP, but mainly to His Highness the Aga Khan, to fully and exclusively devote myself interacting with the communities in Pakistan, Bangladesh, India, Maldives, Nepal, and Sri Lanka. Over this period, I have personally held dialogue with over 5,000 communities, and this morning I intend to share this experience with you. I still vividly remember the bitterly cold December in 1982 when I drove 600 kilometers from Islamabad to Gilgit on a borrowed jeep. This was the beginning of the Aga Khan Rural Support Program, AKRSP, and forging of partnerships over the next 12 years with 1 million people in most inhospitable and harshest terrain anywhere in the world. I brought them a simple message, but time-tested, from the days of Raiffeisen in Germany in 19th century Europe, followed by Japan, Taiwan, Comilla, and South Korea's Samolundong. This was a message of partnership and development to their demands, needs, and problems, and offer solutions. The KRSP offered them only a methodology, an approach, a social guidance to overcome their handicaps themselves. The villagers used to look at me with disbelief. A program bearing the name of one of the richest person in the world, not willing to solve their problems and asking them to do things first. I explained, this is a partnership which entails obligations on both sides. And unless the community and the poor were prepared to fulfill their obligations, how can the partnership be formed? Many were impatient and would pester me to tell them what was the limit to which the program would help them if they accepted the terms of partnership. And my simple response used to be, your limit is our limit. Whatever the community can do or was willing to do was the program limit. I was very happy when the approach was reinforced by the first World Bank assessment of AKRSP in 1987, saying that the first 4 years of AKRSP are the missed 4 years of most rural development projects in the world, where blueprint took precedence over a process approach. AKRSP did not go to the communities with a preconceived package and left it to each community to identify their potential, not only as a community, but also at the household level. The 1 million people I worked with for 12 years in northern areas of Pakistan through the Aga Khan Rural Support Program reinforced my conviction of the tremendous potential and willingness in people to do many things themselves to come out of poverty. All that they were needed was a support organization to help them unleash their potential. Once organized, the men and women took their destiny in their own hands. They knew what would bring them out of poverty. They planted 50 million trees on land brought on irrigation range, generated about 6 megawatts of electricity through village-built and managed mini hydels, acknowledged as the biggest concentration of community-managed micro-hydro projects anywhere in the world. In agriculture, horticulture, livestock, the organized communities made quantum jump in introducing and later marketing apple varieties from California and cherries from France. Their apricot is picked up by a London buyer from the farm gate at Wilgate. Their initiative in protecting wildlife in collaboration with IUCN, and I'm glad that DG IUCN is here, and WWF was given rich dividends, sharing 75% of the proceeds of trophy hunting with the government wildlife department. The tourists can now watch ibex, markhor, and if they're lucky, even sometimes a snow leopard from the roadside. Last time on my visit to northern areas, I went to a village, Ahmedabad, where 22 years ago I had gone sitting in a basket pulled across the river as there was no bridge on the river. The village with 110 households was totally isolated, although the Karakoram highway passed by it. The village had no access, no road, no school, no health facility, no potable drinking water, and no electricity. Today, it has everything. These people would never have been touched, Madam Chair, by any growth strategy or macro planning. They needed a development strategy which involved each and every household in the development process. Unfortunately, this is what our macro planners fail to comprehend. When I asked these people what was the secret of their success, their response was, we got organized. The village roads were earmarked with dustbins and the environment was litter free. According to the second World Bank evaluation of AKRSP in 10 years, the income of the people of northern areas had in real terms more than doubled. In 1994, when UNDP asked me to take lessons learned in northern areas of Pakistan to South Asia, India being the largest country in the region, it was the greatest challenge to South Asia Poverty Alleviation Program, SAPEP. And to me personally, as a Pakistani, to make a difference to the lives of women and their households in India. My apprehensions were tasteless. The people of Andhra Pradesh and the state government welcomed me with open arms and treated me with unforgettable kindness, hospitality, and affection, and continues to do so. In Andhra Pradesh, I was told that after 7 years, almost 75% of the organized households had risen above the level of subsistence. When I doubted this statement, the women insisted on taking me to their homes. I visited a number of houses which I had visited in my first visit in 1995, which had barely any amenities of life available. I was wonderstruck to find modern amenities like television, telephone, toilets, etc. in the houses. In one house, I did not see television, and I asked the lady if she had been left behind others. She asked me to visit her backyard where more than 35 goats were standing. She explained her children are young and unlike other children do not insist on going to the neighbors to see the television. Hence, she made her choice of preferring goats to the television. This reminded me of Nobel laureate Amartya Sen's book, Development as Freedom. One of the important outcomes of mobilized communities in Andhra has been the adoption of community-managed sustainable agriculture, CMSA. To date, adopted by over 300,000 farmers, it has enabled the poor to break out of the exploitative relations with moneylenders, fertilizer and pesticides traders. In the next 5 years, the Society for Elimination of Rural Poverty of Andhra plans to take it to 10 to 12 million acres, covering 50 to 60% of the cultivable area of the state. The environmental benefits of CMSA are enormous. It will convert the state into a green state with impact on climate change and global warming. However, the main motivation for the poor for adopting these practices is the quantum jump in their net incomes. The lesson is that however good the technology may be, without people's involvement through their strong grassroots institutions, it will remain in the laboratories and universities. We need a pupil-centered solution to food security and climate change. The Andhra government keeps on inviting me, and last July when I went, I found 10 million rural households comprising 45 million people who already had access more than $1 billion last year from the commercial banks. Andhra has been able to demonstrate an approach of poverty reduction encompassing over 45 million people, which has no parallel anywhere in South Asia. Andhra has found a solution to rural poverty. Today, the Rural Support Programs Network in Pakistan extend to 93 out of the 125 districts of Pakistan, making a difference to the livelihood of nearly 13 to 15 million people. Pakistan is probably the only country in South Asia which has adopted social mobilization as was recommended by the Poverty Commission in 1991. A new chapter of development seems to be opening up to take lessons learned to scale in Pakistan. The federal government is very keen to mainstream social mobilization. The President of Pakistan gave his approval to the approach for countrywide application in next 3 to 5 years in December 2008. At the recent Friends of Pakistan donor meeting hosted by Japan, $3 billion were pledged exclusively for poverty reduction in the next 2 years. Madam Chair, if sustainable development leading to elimination of poverty has to be ushered in, governments of the third world will have to take a lead role in fostering the framework of grassroots institutions of the people.
Thank you. Thank you, Amjad. I thought that instead of telling you what I have been doing, I think this sums up. And I leave it to you now. Whatever questions you want to ask, you know what I've been doing and what I've been achieving.
So, sir, thank you very much, sir. I'm extremely delighted today. A great honor, great privilege. Listening to you has always been music to our ears. You inspired thousands and thousands of people, the poor people, the development professionals, the civil servants. And I'm one of those humble students and admirers of you. And let me admit, sir, that you changed lives of many thousand people, and I'm also one of those. So no words to appreciate your efforts and no words to thank you and acknowledge your great work. Let me say only one word, one sentence, that you are higher than Himalayas and deeper than Arabian Ocean. Whatever you've done for Pakistan is, extremely laudable, and one of the true sons of soil you are. So, sir, I will be, asking your journey, that right from the beginning, from your childhood, from your youth years, from wandering here and there throughout South Asia, Himalayas and the Karakoram and the valleys and deserts of Pakistan. What have you learned, and what do you see about future? How would you like to inspire us and give a message, and what do you see in future? So almost, alhamdulillah, you are witness to 1 century, 100 years, and may you live longer than that as well. So I will ask you questions. It will be bilingual, discourse. I will be asking some questions in Urdu, because a good number of audience today are from Pakistan, but also from abroad. I'm just told that one of my very dear friend, Mr. Malcolm Harper, who is an advisor to our microfinance program from UK, has also joined, and many other people from UK, England, and other countries. So, sir, my first question will be about your early childhood and youth, because people like to know what kind of a childhood you had. So, बचपन क्या था, और बचपन के ख्वाब क्या थे, और बचपन के दोस्त कौन थे, और क्या आपने बचपन में कभी ये सोचा था कि मैं ये करूँगा और मैं इतने लोगों की खिदमत करूँगा, इतने लोगों के आंसू पोंछूंगा, उनके सर पर दस्ते शफकत रखूँगा, उनको इंस्पायर करूँगा? तो हमें ज़रा 89 years, 80 years, 70 years पीछे ले चलिए, और हमें वो जो इकबाल ने कहा कि हाँ दिखा दे या तसव्वुर, फिर वो सुबह शाम तू दौड़ पीछे की तरफ गर्दिशे अय्याम तू. तो थोड़ा सा बचपन जी. ओवर.
Well, listening to you, अमजद in उर्दू, ताल्लुक तो लखनऊ से मेरा है, लेकिन मेरे ख्याल से मैं अंग्रेजी में बात करूंगा और फिर उर्दू में भी करूंगा. Actually, you are asking about my early childhood. Let me tell you that my life is really a bundle of coincidences. My mother died when I was only 3 years old, and my maternal grandfather brought me up. He was in the UP Civil Service. And when I grew up, I found myself in the household of a deputy commissioner, or collector as he used to be called. These were the colonial days. And as you know, the foundation of the British Empire, the civil service was supposed to be the steel framework. And the grandeur and powers of a deputy commissioner in those days, you can imagine how much I was influenced by all that. And especially what I liked was winter touring of about 3 to 4 months, which my grandfather used to do, living in camps, going from village to village, listening to their problems, deciding in on their spot. So you see, with that kind of background, I thought that, well, civil service was really my aim and objective. And that's what I pursued. But then another thing which happened was, when I was an undergraduate there in Lucknow University, I fell in love with one of my cousins who happened to be from Dera Ismail Khan. Her father was a Pakhtun. And I don't know, I mean, better not go in detail how she happened to be there. And we decided to get married. I was only 19. I had not even done graduation. And when I asked my grandfather, maternal grandfather, that I want to get married, he just I had sent him a letter and he replied that you better go to your mother's grave, which is in Shahjahanpur, and ask her whether you should study or you should get married. But you know, love what it is. We both had decided and we got married. I was abandoned by my family, but my wife was very determined. She said, I will prove your family wrong. And she threatened me that if you give up your studies, I will give you up. So I did my master's. And because I had no plans to come to Pakistan, but because she was from this part of the world and her father was in Peshawar. So in 1953, I migrated from India to Pakistan. And unlike many others, instead of going to Karachi, I went to Peshawar. And in those days, there was a scarcity, a dearth of masters in English literature. I had that degree, and even that, a first-class degree. I had to work hard with a gold medal. So I immediately got an offer of a lecture in Jahanzeb College, Swat. And of course, my aim was the civil service. I prepared for the competitive exam. And in 1955, I got into the erstwhile civil service, the CSP. But you know, strange are the snares or ways of fortune. In those days, as you know, there used to be 2 years training, one at the Civil Service Academy, especially spending some time in East Pakistan, also then East Pakistan. And then 1 year at Cambridge and Oxford. Half of us went there and half. I went to Cambridge, and when I came back, and we were all very happy that now there was a Awami government in the then East Pakistan, and obviously we are all going to be posted to West Pakistan. And we also heard that a letter has been written by the Chief Minister of East Pakistan government to Mr. Soharwardi, who had become the Prime Minister, that he would like all East Pakistani domiciled officers to be posted to East Pakistan. And Mr. Soharwardi, in those days, the leaders as they were, on that letter, Mr. Soharwardi ordered that all West Pakistani domiciled probationers should be posted to East Pakistan and all East Pakistan domiciled probationers to West Pakistan. So much to our disappointment, I landed up in the then East Pakistan. And my first posting was in a subdivision called Brahmanbadia in the district of Kumila. And there, one day when I was holding my coat, 5 young people came to see me. And they said that they have been sent by their director from the Pakistan Academy for Rural Development, Kumila. And they said that we have been told just to shadow you for 14 days because our director says that you may have PhDs from America, but you know nothing about the field. So they spent 14 days with me and then went back. And one day there used to be a train between Chittagong, between Dhaka and Chittagong called the Green Arrow. Now, in those days, Amjad, the only means of transport that the ACs used to have was bicycle or on foot. Or if this was somewhere near a riverside, then you could go by a boat. Or if it was situated on a railway station, then you can go by the train. So one day I had gone to a place. Which was,
Let me intervene for a moment. That you are saying that in those days, the assistant commissioners, used to move on bicycles or on foot. So I just wanted to intervene to let my friends, the young civil servants who have joined us, to listen to you and to remind them that, what is the difference between then and now. So luxury, big cars, jeeps, and those beautiful days when people moved around on bicycles, that was the difference. We're happy that they have got many good things now, but we also pray that they have the same passion and same willingness to serve and the service. So please forgive me for this brief interjection, but I would like to continue your story.
well, Amjad, but that was East Pakistan, and of course, that is how it was. And I used to love touring, and I had to do. There was no other option. So as this train, I mean, wherever I could go by train, I will go by train. And I know, there was a place called Akhada where the train passed. This is that place where, only the other day they were celebrating Nishan-e-Haider of Major Tufail. And there was East Pakistan Rifles. And Major Tufail was the commander of the Rifles, and his headquarters were in Akhada. So whenever I will go there, I will also meet him. And but anyway, let me tell you what I was telling. But when I got in the train at Akhada, I was wanting to come back to Brahmanbaria. The compartment, there was a very impressive gentleman clad in khadar sitting there. And I, of course, saluted him. And he said, "Who are you?" And now I was quite taken aback that, look at, and I said, "I'm the Assistant Commissioner of Brahmanbaria." And he said, "Oh, you are Shoaib Sultan Khan." That shocked me even more. And then he said, "Look, I'm Akhtar Hamid Khan." And I had sent 5 PhDs who have joined my faculty to learn from you. And you were put under a microscope and you came out with flying colors. So that was my first meeting with the legendary Akhtar Hamid Khan. And that is where, when you were asking why are you doing what you are doing, it is there that I say that I wanted to do whatever was in the civil service. But he then planted these seeds of rural development, of poverty reduction, how to do it. And he was very, as you know, I mean, I don't know if you ever met him, Amjad, but he was very blunt all the time. And he would say that, look, don't try to be a reformer. Only prophets can be reformers. And you can't be a revolutionary because we have joined the civil service. And you can't invent. Inventions are very rare. So then I said, what should I do? He said, look, be a copycat. See what has been successful. And he was doing this program in Kumila. And you know his history, Akhtar Hamid Khan's, how he resigned from the Indian civil service. And when I asked him, why did you resign from the ICS? In fact, his brother told me that he had already done 9.5 years of service and resigned. And his father said, کہ اختر, why don't you do another 6 months? In 10 years, in those days, ICS officers used to get pension. And he said to his father that, look, if I wanted money, why would I leave ICS? And for 20 years, you know, he just went on trying to find.
Excellent, sir. That's a remarkable example that, you know, just 6 months before, when he was entitled for all the benefits, he resigned. Sir, if you allow me, I will take you a little bit back again.
And that's what I tell, let me, Amjad, that there is, I find that similarity in you. Because
this is
I
so
mean,
kind.
I never resigned from service. I mean, I got into the United Nations, and then when I got seconded by the United Nations to AKRSP, then I took retirement. But you resigned. I mean, that is the similarity, you know. And that's why you have got those, what you have been able to do is those
Thank you.
qualities. Which you,
I would just like to take you a little, you know, back again. You said that your first love affair started at the age of 19 years.
17 years. I got married at 19.
So that reminds me कि जो है ना कि ये इश्क नहीं आसान, बस इतना समझ लीजिए एक आग का दरिया है और डूब के जाना है. तो जो लव अफेयर आपका स्टार्ट होता है in the teen of your age, तो वो सारी जिंदगी आपने इश्क किया, आपने वो आपका महबूब बदलता रहा. ज्यादा से ज्यादा ये कह सकते हैं आपने लोगों से मोहब्बत की, आपने इस मिट्टी से मोहब्बत की, आपने पाकिस्तान से मोहब्बत की, आपने अपने मिशन से मोहब्बत की. And you devoted entire of your life for a cause which you have carved out for yourself in the early years of your life. तो that क्या हम कह सकते हैं कि आपकी पे ये सारी जिंदगी ये इश्क की कहानी है?
वो तो खैर तुम्हारी लफ्ज़ी का तो मैं मुकाबला नहीं कर सकता, लेकिन बस मुझे एक उस्ताद ऐसा मिल गया कि उसने ये जो सबक मुझे सिखाया, उसने पहला सबक ये दिया मुझे, जब वो ये कह रहे थे कि भाई आप रिफॉर्मर या रेवोल्यूशनरी या इन्वेंशन ना जाएं, तो उसके ऊपर उन्होंने यही मुझे सबक दिया कि देखो, अगर गरीबों की मदद करना चाहते हो तो पहली चीज तो ये वो राइफेसन को कोट करते थे कि देखो उसने किया है कि देखो गरीब जो है उसकी बहुत सारी जो हैंडीकैप्स हैं, इसकी वजह से इनफरादी तौर के ऊपर वो अपनी हालत बेहतर नहीं कर सकता. इसीलिए वो कहते थे कि ये एक डेवलपमेंट पार्टनरशिप का जो कॉन्सेप्ट है उसमें गरीबों को पहले कुछ करना पड़ेगा, और उसका बेसिस जो वो बताते थे वो ये था कि गरीब से गरीब तरीन खातून हो या मर्द हो, उसमें सलाहियत है अपनी हालत बेहतर करने की. और वो कहते थे एग्जाम्पल देखो उसकी माइकल एंजेलो की, जब उसके मुजस्समे की तारीफ होती थी डेविड की, तो वो कहता था मैंने कुछ नहीं किया, मुजस्समा तो अल्लाह ताला ने संगमरमर में पैदा किया हुआ था, मैंने तो सिर्फ जो सुपरफ्लुअस मटेरियल उसको कवर कर रहा था उसको हटा दिया. तो कहते थे गरीब जो है, चाहे गरीब से गरीब तरीन हो, उसमें ये सलाहियत है. सवाल ये है कि उस सलाहियत को कैसे उजागर किया जाए. उसमें जैसे उन्होंने बताया कि इनफरादी तौर के ऊपर उनकी मदद नहीं हो सकती, तो उनको सबसे पहले अपने आप को मुनज़्ज़म करना पड़ेगा, और मुनज़्ज़म हो करके उनको अपनी तंजीम का एक ऐसा, जिसको कहते हैं सरबराह या लीडर, चुनना पड़ेगा जिसमें सिर्फ 2 क्वालिटीज़ चाहिए कि वो ऑनेस्ट हो और वो सेल्फलेस नहीं कि वो अपने को सेक्रीफाइस करना चाहे, लेकिन वो अपने साथ दूसरों को भी फायदा करना चाहे. और दूसरी चीज उन्होंने ये कही थी कि اس دنیا کا نظام پیسے سے چلتا ہے، کیپٹل از پاور. تو اس تنظیم کو اپنا پیسہ بچت کے ذریعے جمع کرنا پڑے گا، بڑھانا پڑے گا، کیونکہ پیسہ پیسے کو کھینچتا ہے. تو یہ چیزیں دو ان کو کرنی پڑے گی. اور آپ کو جو ضرورت اس بات کی ہوگی کہ ایک کیٹلسٹ ہو یا سپورٹ آرگنائزیشن یا جو بھی اخوت ہے یا جو بھی آپ نام دینا چاہیں، ان کا کام یہ ہوگا کہ وہ کس طرح سے، ایک تو سب سے بڑی چیز یہ تھی کہ آپ کا جو فوکس ہونا چاہیے، آپ کی جو یونٹ آف ڈیولپمنٹ ہے وہ ہاؤس ہولڈ ہونی چاہیے. غربت ہاؤس ہولڈ لیول پہ ہے، یہ نہیں کہ آپ نے گاؤں کا سن لیا یا یونین کاؤنسل کر لیا یا اور جگہ. اگر ہاؤس ہولڈ کی حالت بہتر ہوگی تو پھر سب کی حالت بہتر ہوگی. لیکن یہ کہ اس تنظیم کا یہ کام ہوگا کہ ایک ہر گھرانے کا ایک مائکرو انویسٹمنٹ پلان بنے، جس میں وہ خود آئیڈینٹیفائی کریں کہ ان کی پوٹینشیل کیا ہے، وہ کیا کر سکتے ہیں اور رکاوٹ کیا ہے. دس از وائی یہ جو بینک والے کہہ رہے تھے کہ ہم بلو پرنٹ کے ساتھ جاتے ہیں اور یہ پروسیس اپروچ یہ ہے کہ بھئی آپ بجائے بتانے کے کہ بھئی تمہارے لیے یہ اچھا ہے تم کرو، جیسے تم کرتے ہو اخوت کے پیسے جب دیتے ہو تو تم کو یہ تو نہیں کہتے ہو لو یہ میں پیسے دے رہا ہوں یہ کرو. وہ خود آ کے تمہیں بتاتے ہیں نا کہ جی ہم یہ کر سکتے ہیں، اس کے لیے ہمیں یہ چاہیے. تو یہ چیز جب میں نے سمجھ لی تو پھر ظاہر ہے میں گیا اور گاؤں والوں سے بات کی. میں نے بتایا، جیسے میں نے اپنی اسپیچ میں بھی کہا، پہلے تو وہ they were used to all people coming کہ بھائی بتائیں آپ کے مسائل کیا ہیں، آپ کے مسئلے کیا ہیں اور ہم یہ کر دیں گے آپ کے لیے، وہ کر دیں گے. اور یہاں میں جا رہا ہوں کہہ رہا ہوں کہ آپ مجھے اپنے مسئلے مسائل نہ بتائیں، مجھے اپنے ڈیمانڈز نہ بتائیں. میرے پاس وہ وسائل نہیں ہے کہ میں آپ کی مدد کر سکوں. میں صرف یہ کر سکتا ہوں کہ میں اس یقین سے آیا ہوں کہ آپ سب میں ایک صلاحیت ہے غریب سے غریب ترین میں کہ آپ اپنی حالت بہتر کر سکتے ہیں. میں سے سچ کہہ رہا ہوں امجد کہ اب تو پتہ نہیں کتنے لاکھوں لوگوں کے ساتھ میں نے یہ بات کی، کسی بھی گاؤں میں کسی نے مجھے یہ نہیں کہا کہ نہیں ہمیں صلاحیت نہیں ہے. You know, with that kind of response, مطلب جب یہ گلگت بلتستان میں جب میں جاتا تھا، اور جب یہ رسپانس ملتی تھی، شروع میں ظاہر وقت لگا اس کو کرنے کا، تو پھر اس کو تم عشق کہو یا جو بھی کہو، اب اس عشق سے ساری دنیا میں میرا نام ہو گیا. عمران خان نے مجھے نشان امتیاز بھی دے دیا، تو اور کیا چاہیے بتاؤ تو.
آپ کا جو دنیا میں نام تو الحمدللہ ہوا، لیکن آپ نے لوگوں سے عشق کیا اور لاکھوں لوگوں نے بھی آپ سے عشق کیا. آپ کا اصل جو نشان امتیاز یا ترہ امتیاز ہے وہ حکمرانوں کے پاس نہیں ہے سر، وہ ان دلوں میں ہے جہاں آپ بستے ہیں. پورے پاکستان میں، جنوبی ایشیا میں، لاکھوں دیہاتوں میں، جہاں جہاں بھی آپ گئے، آپ نے محبت کا نقش چھوڑا اور لوگوں نے آپ کو اتنی ہی محبت دی. ایک مشکل سا سوال میں سر آپ سے پوچھنا چاہوں گا کہ اس کے باوجود کہ آپ جیسے لوگوں نے اس کارواں کو تشکیل دیا اور پھر حکومتیں بھی اپنے اپنے طور پر کام کرتی رہیں، اور اس پر بھی ہمیں اعتماد ہے، جیسے آپ نے فرمایا کہ لوگ جو ہیں people are willing to do a lot of things, they have immense potential and we just need to harness the potential. لیکن سوال یہ ہے سر کہ آج بھی پاکستان میں 2 کروڑ بچہ جو ہے وہ اسکول نہیں جاتا، اور کتنی مائیں ہیں جو دوا کے بغیر مر جاتی ہیں، اور کتنے بچے ہیں جن کو صاف پانی نہیں ملتا. تو یہ ایسا کیوں ہے اور یہ ایسا کب ختم ہوگا؟ یہ وہ حبیب جالب کا ایک شعر مجھے بہت ستاتا ہے کہ جس کی روشنی کچے گھروں تک بھی پہنچتی ہے، نہ وہ سورج نکلتا ہے نہ اپنے دن بدلتے ہیں. تو یہ 2 کروڑ بچے ابھی تک اسکول سے باہر کیوں ہیں؟ آپ کیسے اس چیز کو دیکھیں گے؟
پتہ نہیں، وہ جو میری یو این کی اسپیچ ہے اس میں تم نے لاسٹ سنا تھا میرا جو ایک آپٹیمزم میں نے 208 میں حکومت نے فیصلہ کر لیا کہ یہ پروگرام کنٹری وائڈ ہوگا. کنٹری وائڈ کا مطلب میرا مقصد کیا تھا؟ میرا مقصد یہی تھا کہ اب ہم جب دیکھیں کہ کیا ہے آپ کے پاس. آپ کے پاس اگر آپ دیکھیں اسٹیٹ تو 2 پلرز ہیں اسٹیٹ کے. ایک کو آپ کہہ رہے ہیں پولیٹیکل پلر، جو آپ کی جو نیشنل اسمبلی ہے، اس کے بعد پروونشل اسمبلی ہے، پھر ڈسٹرکٹ کاؤنسل ہے، پھر یونین کاؤنسل ہے، اور اب جناب وہ ولیج کاؤنسل بھی بنانا چاہتے ہیں. یا ایک آپ کا ایڈمنسٹریٹو پلر ہے، پریزیڈنٹ سے لے کے پٹواری تک.
Sir, may I request you to please switch over to English, because there are many people joined us who are not understanding Urdu.
Okay. No, Amjad, I was saying that, look, I mean, I told you that what I learned from Akhtar Hamid Khan, that you have to believe that there is tremendous potential in the poorest of the poor. The only thing is, and this he said, I mean, he will always admit that this is nothing original. He basically was referring to what Raiffeisen, you know, Raiffeisen was the mayor of a small principality in 1849 in Germany. And he was well off himself, but he wanted to help the poor. And he will collect the subsistence holders, the peasantry, the landless, and tell them that, look, you are being crushed by 3 giants. And who were the 3 giants in 1849 Germany? The landlord, the money lender, and the shopkeeper. And then he brought that lesson that, look, individually you cannot counter these. You have to get organized. You have to find a leader. You have to generate your own capital, because capital is power. And when you identify the potential that you have, then there has to be that help where this limitation, this obstacle which is keeping you from unleashing it. So, you know, that is what basically I learned, and then I tried and saw that how true it was. And as I was saying, that when I went to the villages in Gilgit-Baltistan and Chitral, and in fact, initially I started in Peshawar in Daudzai, but there the government thought that I was organizing communities, and the government of the day thought that this was a opposition party's area, and I was trying to organize a revolution, and I was thrown out along with Akhtar Hamid Khan. So, but I knew that this was what really had to be done, and that's what I did there. So now, when in 2008 they agreed that yes, you can go, because basically unless you have this framework of grassroots institutions, because these 2 pillars, as I was mentioning, the administrative pillar with the president at the top and the Patwari, the lowest functionary, or your political pillar, the National Assembly and the Provincial Assembly and the Union Council and even the Village Council, are they going to organize communities? And if you don't have that institutional framework of grassroots institutions, there are 20 million rural households in the country, you know that today, if you go to latest census. And they expect the Union Council or the local government will do that. And that is where Akhtar Hamid Khan used to say that you have to have a 3rd pillar, the socio-economic pillar. What you are saying, why it has happened, because that socio-economic pillar is lacking. I mean, the AKRSPs, the RSPs, which there are about 8 of them, 10, including IRM and the Rural Program Center. In 2008, they agreed that all the 110 districts at that time, now of course they have become 156, and all the rural households will be mobilized in this way. I waited for 3 months to start that program because it was approved by the president and everyone. And then I get a letter from the presidency that the president has decided this. What has happened? They are asking me instead of asking the planning commission or this. And then came the Benazir Income Support Program. That was sidetracked. Now, if you're going to give money just for social protection, good, it is needed. But it's not going to bring them out of poverty. It's not going to create that third pillar, the socio-economic pillar, which ensures that each child goes to school, that ensures the teacher is coming to that ensures that the government health center is working, that ensures, because that really is the conduit through which government services and supplies have to be channeled. Unless that happens, this will continue.
So, exactly. I know you are, optimist, and some people call you man with hat, and I call you man with hope. Man with hat and man with hope, both. So, socio-economic pillars, sir, you have mentioned, and you have taught us all the way. So, in this context, what would be your advice to the government, current government, that how can they incorporate Benazir Income Support Program with this socio-economic pillar and with this social mobilization, the conceptual package and the program package, which was designed for AKRSP and which was followed by NRSP, PRSP, BRSP, GBIT, and SRSP, SRS, all the rural support programs in Pakistan. So at this juncture, what would be your advice that how can we bring these 20 million kids to school and all other related improve other related socio-economic indicators? So I would like you to, give a very, some kind of a message for the government. Many government functionaries are listening to this beautiful speech, and we all will be happy to get some words of wisdom in this context.
Amjad, I am not going to say anything which I have not seen done. Why in India it happened, in Andhra Pradesh? Because the entire government machinery used this third pillar as the conduit for their services and supplies. Here it doesn't. Even in Sindh, where we have got the biggest program these days, because Sindh government is one, which in 2009, I remember they had set up Sindh Rural Support Organization, asked me to become the chairman of that. And when I met the chief minister, and I gave him a presentation, and by then I had done this work in India where you saw that they have done almost 11 billion households organized in Andhra, and all women. There it was all women program. So after listening to me, he says that, well, you seem to have a prescription for poverty. And I said, I have the prescription, but not the resources. So he gave 2 districts, that all right, you take 2 districts and do this. And we did it. And fortunately for us, a European Union delegation seemed to go to that area, and they also visited that area, although we didn't know about it. And the development council came back and rang me up and said that we have been there, we have never seen women so empowered. How did you do it? And would you be willing to do it in 8 more districts? So I said, well, I'll take you to the chief minister if he agrees. And obviously he was very happy. But he said, we are not a substitute for government. And with that, they have really now gone to almost out of 23 districts in 18 districts. Only 3 are left. But then the other thing is not come. None of the departments are using this as their conduit. And you know, that really is the main thing, Amjad, that we're not asking government, we're trying to facilitate them. We are complementing, we are saying that your two pillars, your local government, even if you revive it and you make the village council. I mean, you know, I've seen in KP, the village councils were introduced. But you know, it was only in elections when the village council members were the same members who were part of the organized communities. That is where things happen, but not in other places. So my submission, and this is what I said, and in fact, I was very happy when the Ehsaas program was being launched. Then the Prime Minister said this openly, that he has been, because you know, when I was implementing AKRSP, he used to come there and he saw what was happening. And in fact, when he became MNA in 2004, he came to my house, met me and said that I've got this money as a development grant from government. I don't know what to do with it. Can you help me? And I said, well, I can't help you just like that, but I am prepared to go to you with you in your constituency and demonstrate it. And he took me to Smiawali in Swansea Union Council, and RSP was working in the adjoining district, and I asked Rashid to do this. And he was very happy about it. He said, I've never seen things happening like this. In fact, that visit is on YouTube, if you see it. Because when I went with him, I said that, Imran, you will not make a political speech. You will just introduce me and I will then explain. And he introduces me in superlatives words at that. So he, when implementing, launching Ehsaas, he said that I have seen how work has been done in northern areas, and I will like that we should involve RSPs in graduating people out of poverty. Now that, unfortunately, with COVID and all that, you know, all the money had to go towards social protection. So I'm hoping that, but you know, without doing that, we will always have this. Because some of the programs, I mean, Shandana might explain to you, because all the other RSPs, we got some money from some donors, like, and they showed that there they were able to bring the students out of school in a school, but this was done by the communities themselves. I mean, there is a program which Rashid Bajwa is launching, which is called WISE, Water, Immunization, Sanitation and Education. And here, what the communities take the responsibility is that we have these CRPs, we call community resource persons, and they go to their local people. They go to each household where the child is not going, why your child is not going. So unless you have that system, and we did make a presentation to Shafqat Mahmood, saying that this can be done, but it has to be through these organized communities. We have at present, as you know, almost 8 million rural households organized. And there are almost, this has to be done at the upper level. They are federated at the village organization and then at the local support organization. So there are almost 2,000 local support organizations with whatever little money we have been getting. I mean, in Sindh also, they give us money for social mobilization, but that's about peanuts in sense of the money that ADP has. The other ADP, which has to go through them, that the departments is still not agreeing to do it.
That's great, sir. You know, we truly appreciate the Ehsaas program Dr. Sania Nishtar, and this is the vision of the Prime Minister. And it has done extremely well during this COVID. But what you are saying and what I'm getting out of this is that there needs to be some kind of collaboration between the socio-economic pillar, the social mobilization, and the SAS program. So that will provide a sustainability, and it will wider the audience. So that's a great suggestion, and we
No, I
expect.
think Amjad, I mean, Sania has done an amazing work.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that. And in fact, she is also aware of this. But basic thing is that when, I mean, we have 4 million, about 4 million BISP beneficiaries who have been getting this for the last almost anywhere between 5 to 10 years, Now we have to wean them away from that.
It will be
And
a
for
long,
that,
it will, turn out to be a long discussion. But I want to, the questions which I
that's what I'm
gathered.
saying. That, I mean, of course, PPAF, they got money from IFAD. So they are doing this, but that's a very small, I mean, they're doing it with about 250,000 households. We are talking here, I mean, if you take this 20 million, and we see that how many are below the poverty line, so we're talking about 8 to 9 million households. So unless and until we do that, at least these 4 million who have been in receipt of the BISP grants over the last 5 years and more, they can be weaned easily with the money which we have.
So actually, my focus during this discussion, as I intended it to be, was to know more about you as a leader, so that we can, share your story with our younger generation. So would you please tell me something, 3 best outstanding traits which helped you to reach this point? I know you are extremely hardworking, you are a visionary, you are work alcoholic, and I have read thousands of the pages of NFRs which you have written. But 3 most distinct traits which you would like to share with all the audience.
I've learned everything from Akhtar Hamid Khan. And he said that, look, if you want your program to expand all by yourself, you can't do it. Programs can only be replicated. But replication of program does not mean replication of program, it means replication of people. Unless you can find people who believe in what you're doing, it will not happen. Now these 10 network members, what was my job? My job was to find 10 people who would understand what I'm saying, what I want to do, what Akhtar Hamid Khan taught me. And you have seen that that's the only, I mean, Akhtar Hamid Khan used to say that your biggest and greatest challenge is not what you can do, but how can you take those people who will take the program in the same direction. And I've been very lucky. I mean, all this that you have been, do you think I could have mobilized 8 million people? I mean, there are now 12,000 professionals working in RSPs. I have replicated maybe just 10. But then they have in their own turn replicated these thousands. For this kind of work that we are doing, and you must have seen yourself. Do you think that you have done all this?
Yeah. No,
if you didn't find these people, what are your qualities of leadership which achieved that? It's not much.
I truly
Of
believe.
course, you have to demonstrate, because unless you demonstrate yourself simply by telling people that you should do this, that, and the other, that doesn't cut up much ice.
No, sir, when you are saying these words, I'm remembering all my wonderful colleagues, Rashid Bajwa, Shandana Khan, Masood al-Mulk, Darjat, Fateh Muhammad Khan, and all those doctors,
Victor
so
Garudo and Sid.
all those people, that's great. And similarly, in our Akhubat board of directors, we have Salim Ranjha, Nazir Tonio, Dr. Kamran, all those people follow your footsteps, no matter how, whether they worked with you for a longer time or not. But I truly believe, sir, that replication of people, it is the people. مجھے یہ بھی یاد ہے آپ نے مجھ سے ایک دفعہ کہا تھا کہ تم نے کتنے قرضے دیے ہیں مجھے اس سے غرض نہیں ہے مجھے یہ بتاؤ تم نے اپنے جیسے کتنے لوگ پیدا کیے ہیں
یاد ہے
تو دس از ہاؤ آپ کہتے تھے کہ ڈائمنڈس کو کریٹ کرو ڈائمنڈس یہ شائن کریں گے تو ملک شائن کرے گا لوگوں کو آگے لے کے جاؤ تو یہ جو absolutely agree sir کہ creating these social activists, this cadre of professionals who are willing to volunteer and willing to who have a vision, تو ان کے بغیر تو یہ چیز نہیں. ایک اور سوال میرا ہوگا سر کہ ظاہر ہے یہ زندگی ہے اس میں مایوسیاں دکھ تکلیف مصائب ذاتی محرومیاں تو یہ فرسٹریشنز بھی ہوتی ہیں تو وہاں آپ کیا کرتے ہیں؟
اب اس میں تو ہم جہاں تک پرسنل ٹریجڈیز ہیں وہ تو ایوری بڈی ہیز دیٹ شیئر اور بٹ بیسیکلی جو کہتے ہیں نا کہ دیر از آلویز اے وومن behind a man, but that's very true about my wife. She is the one really who made me what I am. And she is the one who really took me through these difficult times also. I mean, after all, if you marry when you are only an undergraduate, then you know how much you have to strive. And when you have been abandoned by your family. But as far as the program is concerned, of course, I mean, I just gave you an example that the president approves the whole program countrywide, and then what happens? But I don't give up. We go on striving. There are opportunities. Whenever there is an opportunity, I mean, how has RSPs been replicated and increased? I mean, it was just, we got an opportunity, there was a prime minister or a chief minister who took interest, but that interest was only till he was there, and then he or she, somebody else came. Then, so that keeps on happening. And the main thing is that, as Akhtar Hamid Khan, again, I will mention him, he would say that, look, you have two options. When you come across such situations and you think that there are these external reasons why it is happening, and you curse them and you sulk, that's not the answer.
Yeah.
The answer is that go on building your islands. So that's what we keep on doing. And there no, though, I mean, I can assure you, there is no dearth of these obstacles and these situations. But one has to just take it, and there are always a time for everything, and they pass.
So what you are saying is that never give up and continue your struggle, and there are many opportunities yet awaiting you.
There will be opportunities will come.
So can you define life? What is life? زندگی کو اگر آپ نے چند لفظوں میں بیان کرنا ہو کہ زندگی کیا ہے, اس کا مقصد کیا ہے؟
So I'll quote Tolstoy's words. One of the places he says, the only certain happiness in life is when you live for others. That's it.
آپ سے سر اگر یہ موقع آپ کو ملے کہ آپ کو ایک دفعہ پھر سے اپنی زندگی گزارنے کا اختیار حاصل ہو, تو کیا ایسے ہی زندگی گزارنا چاہیں گے یا would you like to ایک اور طرح کی زندگی جس میں آپ کچھ اور کام کرنا چاہیں؟
No, I think I'm the luckiest man in the world. I had a wonderful childhood. I had a wonderful family life. I have 4 daughters. Of course, my biggest tragedy was when left about 32 years ago. And as you said rightly, that I have most wonderful people working with me. I don't have to do anything really. As the Chinese proverb is, that a good manager does nothing himself, but leaves nothing undone. Now, these names that you narrated of these 10 RSPs, I don't do anything really. But whenever they want my advice, whenever they want my help, I'm there. So can anybody be more luckier than that?
Sir,
I mean, and the beauty of it is that they get the work and I get all the awards from starting with the UN award and then Max Sesse award and then Duke of Edinburgh's conservation medal and whatnot. God knows, Sitara Imtiaz and Hilal Imtiaz and Nishani Imtiaz. I mean, it's their work.
نہیں سر, لیکن اس یہ جو جیسے کہتے ہیں نا کہ پہلا جو قدم اٹھانے والا تو اصل اعزاز اسی کا ہوتا ہے کہ کون پہلی شمع جو روشن کرتا ہے اور کون پہلا کسی بند دروازے پہ دستک دیتا ہے. تو میرے بھی آپ سے جو ذاتی مراسم ہیں اور جو میری عقیدت ہے آپ سے 25 سال سے زیادہ ہو گئے, میں نے غصے میں نہیں آپ کو دیکھا. آپ غصہ کیوں نہیں کرتے؟
غصے کرنے والی کوئی بات کرو گے تب غصہ کروں گا نا. ویسے ہی غصے کرنے سے تو کوئی فائدہ نہیں ہے. جب کوئی غصہ کرنے والی بات ہی نہ کرے آپ, تو پھر اب یہ جتنے ہی لوگ ہیں میرے ساتھ, جب وہ کوئی ایسی بات ہی نہیں کرتے.
آپ جو پرسوٹ آف ایکسیلنس ہے آپ کے اندر, آئیڈیلسٹ ہیں آپ, تو یہ ممکن تو نہیں ہے نا کہ ہم جیسے لوگ غلطیاں نہ کریں, لیکن آپ نے کیسے یہ اپنی شخصیت کو اتنا سنوارا کہ آپ بڑی بڑی غلطیوں کو بھی نظر انداز کرتے ہیں اور مسکراتے ہیں. تو یہ ہم چاہتے ہیں کہ ہمیں پتہ چلے یہ گر, ہم بھی تو ایسا کوئی کام کریں. کہ میرے ساتھی جو ہے نا, میرے ساتھ فضا بیٹھی ہیں, یہ تو ناراض رہتی ہیں کہ آپ ہم سے ناراض ہوتے رہتے ہیں. تو ہمیں بتائیے نا کہ ہم کیا کریں.
یہ تو خیر تمہاری اب انکساری ہے. اس میں تو honestly کچھ کرنا نہیں پڑتا. It all comes naturally. وہ جیسے کہتے ہیں نا شاعری میں, آمد اور آورز. It is not ours. Maybe that's what I feel, that is what should be done. Or basically ہمیشہ ہر چیز میں there are positives and negatives, but you have always to see that which balances what. Perfect تو کوئی بھی نہیں ہے سوائے اللہ تعالیٰ کے, تو اس میں غصہ کس لیے کیا جائے.
وہ میں اس کنٹیکس میں بھی کہہ رہا ہوں نا کہ ہم پیشنس ہمارے پورے معاشرے میں شاید کم ہو گیا، تحمل اور درگزر کرنا اور کسی کی غلطیوں کو. تو یہ میں نے سے مراد ہم سب دوستوں نے جو بھی آپ کے ساتھ کام کرتے رہے، تو یہ آپ ہی سے سیکھا کہ تحمل سے اور بردباری سے. دس از ون تھنگ ایکسٹرا آرڈنری جو ہم آپ سے حاصل کرتے رہے بہت ساری اور چیزوں کے ساتھ ساتھ. تو ہم جب بھی اخوت کے بورڈ کے لوگ بھی اور باقی لوگ بھی جب آپ کے متعلق بات کرتے ہیں تو ہم کہتے ہیں کہ کون سی ایک خوبی ہے شعیب صاحب کی جو ہم چاہیں گے کہ ہمارے اندر بھی آ جائے. تو بہت سی خوبیاں ہر آدمی بتاتا ہے، لیکن ایک کامن یہ ہے کہ آپ کا جو تحمل، برداشت، حوصلہ، مسکراہٹ، سب کو ساتھ لے کے چلنا. تو یہ چیزیں میں نے اس میں بہت زیادہ ہم نے اس کو پایا کہ
اس میں کوئی ایفرٹ کرنا پڑتا ہے؟ نہیں ہے.
مجھے یاد ہے آپ نے ایک دفعہ کہا کہ بھائی تم نے سول سروس چھوڑی ہے تو اب تمہیں پٹواری کے بھی جا کے گھٹنوں کو ہاتھ لگانا پڑے گا، اس لیے اپنی انا کو چھوڑ کے تو پھر یہ کام کرو. تو یہ اپنی انا کو چھوڑنا یہ بھی ایک مشکل کام ہے، لیکن میرے نزدیک یہ بھی آپ کی سکسیسز کی ایک ریزنز ہے میں سے ہے.
یہ بھی انہوں نے کہا تھا اختر حمید خان نے مجھے کہ دیکھو اگر غریبوں کی خدمت کرنی ہے تو اگر لوگوں کے بوٹ پالش بھی کرنی پڑے تو وہ بھی کرو.
یہ تو سر بڑی خوبصورت بات ہوئی کہ مطلب
I don't mind. I mean, for example, اب چاہے وہ سیکشن آفیسر کی مجھے خوشامد کرنی ہو یا ڈپٹی سیکرٹری کی، یا میں سب کی خوشامد کرنے کو تیار ہوں.
لیکن اس خوشامد کے نتیجے میں اگر کسی کی زندگی آباد ہو جائے، غربت کم ہو جائے،
یہ سوال تو یہی ہے نا. اپنے لیے تو میں نہیں کر رہا، شاید اپنے لیے نہ کروں، لیکن جب یہ معاملہ آتا ہے اب ظاہر ہے اب تم نے تو مجھے 90 سال کا بنا دیا تھا، وہ 90th ایئر، لیکن اللہ تعالیٰ نے سب کچھ دے دیا جو کچھ بھی تھا. بٹ why do I do it? Because وہی ٹالسٹائی والی بات، that is the certain happiness.
سر 2-3 سوال کچھ لوگوں نے بھیجے ہیں، وہ میں پوچھنے سے پہلے وقت اب بہت زیادہ نہیں رہا، تو کوئی ایک پیغام اگر آپ دینا چاہیں ایٹ دس اسٹیج آف یور کیریئر، تو پھر میں 1-2 چھوٹے چھوٹے سوال پوچھوں گا جو لوگوں نے ہمیں بھیجے ہیں. بہت سارے لوگ مسلسل ہمیں ای میل اور میسج کر رہے ہیں، تو کوئی خوبصورت سا پیغام آپ دیں کہ جو ہم اپنے دل پہ لکھ لیں اور پھر بھولیں نہیں.
نہیں، اب پیغام میں ایسا دونوں جو کہ واقعی اس کی ریلیونس ہو، تو میں تو اپنے ہی لوگوں کو پیغام دے سکتا ہوں. مطلب یہ کہ جو غربت دور کرنے والا کام کر رہے ہیں، جن کے پاس یہ ہیں، وہ کا تو یہی ہے کہ یہ جو ہے نا، اکثر لوگ کہتے ہیں کہ جی آپ تو ایک بالکل you have got a one track mind, you're always talking about the same thing. But the main thing is that this one track or these principles of subsistence holders development, which I learned from Akhtar Hamid Khan, he used to say that these are as precise as the law of gravity. And if you go against these, then you're building crooked walls. So to my people, I always say these things, that look, unless you have a viable, financially viable framework of grassroots institutions, you cannot build on that. If you build on that, then you are building on sand. تو یہ تو وہ سن کے تھک گئے ہیں میرے لوگ، تو بالکل تھک گئے، کہتے کیا ایک ہی چیز کہے جاتی ہے. And of course it is all built on this conviction that even the poorest of the poor has the potential to come out of poverty. But for that, there are 3 things which are needed for the success of this kind of approach. First is the willingness of the community. If the community doesn't organize, then you can't do a thing. Unless they basically fulfill their obligations, the three obligations that are. And secondly, of course, that you need this support organization, this catalyst or whatever you may call him or call this organization, with people who are committed and dedicated. And of course, the resources. Some people are Grameen, Professor Yunus and you used to, and Brack, Abid Parhoom, they used to laugh at me. They used to say, what are you trying to do? And I used to say, well, I'm trying to persuade government to act like NGOs. He would say, what do you mean by that? I said, I need the resources of the government and the flexibility of the NGO.
Mashallah.
And that's what I've tried to build up. Because as you know, I mean, you were saying that what are your disappointments? But you should also ask me what are your successes. How it come that all these RSPs have been set up by government by giving endowments? How come with that there are phases where a lot of programs then, I mean, I told you about Sindh, what Sindh has done. They have given the money. I mean, I got this grant from EU, but for the rest of the countries is the ADP from where the money came. But what I was hoping that the other money would also be channeled through it, which the department set it. So that's it.
वो मैंने सक्सेसेस का इसलिए नहीं पूछा कि हमें पता है, हम तो हर रोज देखते हैं अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह आपकी जो सक्सेसेस हैं, तो
नहीं मैं उसकी सक्सेस की बात नहीं कर रहा था. मैं इसकी बात कर रहा था कि ये इस किस्म के जो ऑब्स्टिकल्स आते हैं, जो फ्रस्ट्रेशंस भी होते हैं, वो इसी नेचर के हैं ना, कि कोई सुन नहीं रहा है. अब जैसे तुम्हें याद है, तुम ले गए थे मुझे किसी के पास, उसके बाद क्या हुआ? सब कुछ होने के बाद सस्ती रोटी आ गई. I mean, you were very brave कि तुमने फिर कुछ कर लिया.
इसमें सर इसमें कुछ पर्दा नशीनों के भी नाम आते हैं. तो तो आपने सर 4 चीजें बताई हैं अपने आखिरी इन चंद फिक्रों में. विलिंगनेस ऑफ द कम्युनिटी, लीडरशिप एंड रिसोर्सेज.
विद इन द कम्युनिटी, द डायमंड्स जिसकी मैं जिक्र कर रहा था ना, कि कम्युनिटी के वो डायमंड्स हैं.
Willingness, leadership and diamonds and resources plus the flexibility which जो हमें हुकूमत में हासिल नहीं होती.
नहीं, वो फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी मैं जो मांग रहा हूँ ना, मैं ये कह रहा हूँ कि willingness of the community, that means that they agree to organize and also identify a leader who will be the diamond of the community. और जो obligations हैं वो करेंगे. Then the second thing is, of course, capital is power. They will have to have the discipline. अगर अपना पैसा जमा नहीं करेंगे तो बाहर से पैसा नहीं मिलेगा. And obviously उसी के साथ उनकी potential की बात है. But then to do all this, क्योंकि वो अगर कर सकते तो कर लेते. वो तो यही है ना कि जब अगर गरीब अमीर बन सकता था और अमीर को देख करके बन सकता तो हो जाता. तो then you need a support organization. And support organization, you need the dedicated and committed people. That examples you already gave. लेकिन ये सब होने के बाद resources के बगैर तो नहीं हो सकता ना. I mean, why did it happen in Andhra Pradesh? Because the government produced all the resources, everything. तो उसी में मैं कह रहा हूँ कि this is an approach. If you are wanting to do it, तुम अपना भी देख लो. Unless the resources come from outside, and most of the resources are with government. So, unless there is this, where the resources come from government, and the flexibility comes because you are a support organization or you are a Nakhuba. then things happen. And if you
Yeah,
want to take it to scale that, that is what you have to. You have to scale it up.
इसी context में, sir, we have received a question that the space for civil society is shrinking. So this is a question raised, and I got it from this net. So what do you advise government to how can it inspire the civil society to work together and find the answers to all these problems?
You know, I've got great admiration and respect for civil society organizations. In fact, in the beginning, they used to complain against me that you are undermining us. And I said that, look, and again, let me quote Akhtar Hamid Khan. He said, if you have decided to live in the river, don't pick up quarrel with the crocodile. Now I am asking for resources from government. I can't really afford to do what the civil society, especially I'm talking about the right-based societies. I can't do it. But I'm creating a institutional framework, the socio-economic pillar, which really is empowering people, empowering women. I mean, in Sindh there, out of 4.2 million rural households, by the time we finish 2.7 million, women would have been organized. Already 1.7 million are, and they're a big source.
So another, sir, please.
So, I mean, for civil society, I mean, whatever they're doing, I mean, I've got a lot of admiration for them. But when they sometimes get a little disappointed and also angry, that why don't the RSPs also join us? Joining just in name will not be enough. Joining means then we should be in the procession, in the agitation that they are aiding at. But there has to be somebody doing that. And I have great admiration for them that they're doing it.
Someone is asking that you have spent plenty of your life in northern areas and those beautiful valleys and mountain peaks. So this climate change, does it worry you? And what is the solution for that?
The solution is that you have to make it people-centric. There was a meeting here when the Secretary General of UN had come, and the Ministry of Climate Change had organized a session. And I was very happy when the minister, Amin, he used this word that without making climate change people-centric, we will not achieve much. And then I stood up and addressing the Secretary General, I welcomed him, but I said that, may I exploit your presence by trying to influence the advisor on climate change. I was very happy when you said it should be people-centric. But where are the people? And I offered him that, look, unless you organize them, you cannot reach them. We have 8 million organized households, almost 54 million people. And we are available here. We will collaborate with you. There was a big forestry program that we have been discussing with them. But then when it comes to implementation, then there is the 18th Amendment. They said they have to go to provinces. I said, well, that's a different matter. But for example, an RSP has got itself accredited to the World Climate Fund. So let's hope we get some money from there. But basic thing is that without making it people-centric, we won't be able to achieve.
Yeah, many,
I mean,
you know,
I just give you example of the conservation of wildlife in northern areas. How did it happen? I mean, I had gone to a valley called Bar Valley, and they said to me that we would like to protect our wildlife. This was ibex. So I said, "No, go ahead, do it." They said, "No, but there are 10 hunters. Their livelihood is that. If you can find something for them." So I said, "Well, AKRSP doesn't have jobs for hunters." But fortunately, Mr. Babarali was visiting, and I mentioned it to Mr. Babarali. And they were asking me 250,000 a year for converting these hunters into wildlife guards. And Babarali gave me that to it. And with that money, I got the wildlife man to first count the animals. There were about 200, he said. And I said, after a year again, he will come and count. And if it works, then he came back and there were 700. And then wildlife department started trophy hunting. And now the ibex goes for $120,000. And you go to northern areas, you'll find these if you go towards Khunjrab on the roadside. Hundreds and thousands of them.
so that, what you are saying is, I think similar to what Lincoln said about democracy. Development, you are replacing democracy with development for the people, by the people, with the people. So people-centric development.
No, Abhijit, this says democracy is of the people, by the people, for the people. You have for the people the administrative pillar. You have by the people the elected. Where is of the people? The third pillar is of the people.
So that effectively summarizes your mission, your vision, and our discussion that the socio-economic pillar and the involvement of the community organizations and
each and every household really through community
household, yes. So that reminds me of the first 3 dialogues which you used to conduct with new interns like me who started their journey. So you very fondly told all those them that begin with the first dialogue, then second dialogue, and third dialogue, and the first is the household, and then is the portfolio of opportunities, and then leadership, and then capacity building, and then all this support mechanism. So extremely grateful, sir. Truly appreciate all the lessons which you have reminded me and many of friends like that. But one last question I received from someone. I think this will be more pertinent to end. That you always mention Akhtar Hamid Khan as your mentor, as your source of inspiration. Is there anyone else who also inspired you as a leader, as a something which shaped your ideas and your whole this journey? So who influenced you other than Akhtar Hamid Khan?
No, obviously my childhood, of course, my maternal grandfather was, otherwise I would never have joined the civil service. And having joined the civil service, it was Akhtar Hamid Khan who weaned me away from it and made me do whatever I am doing, because after all, I had also seen that what are the powers of a deputy commissioner. I was Commissioner Karachi when I gave up on it, really, because they abolished the post of commissioner. Actually, I was the last commissioner of Karachi. It was only revived again after 3 years because the governor called me and said that this post is too powerful. I said, yes, that's true. I mean, I'm the chairman of the Karachi Development Authority. Laibak Subro used to be my director general, and I'm also controlling authority of the Karachi Municipal Corporation, which had 35,000. And also in those days, used to be the head of the police also. So when he said, we've decided to abolish it, and he wanted me to stay on in Sindh, and I said, no, then I'll go to Pakistan Academy for Rural Development and do what it. And that's how it all changed, you know, it happened. And basically, it is that really, which, I mean, the question, what really is the thrust of the question, Amjad, that what is he saying? What is he wanting? The last question that you asked me.
My last question was, sir, who is, other than Akhtar Hamid Khan, who influenced your thoughts, your ideals, or your life and your this development work?
I mean, besides my grandfather and Akhtar Hamid Khan, I think in case of anybody else, I mean, I can say that who are the people who supported me. I would say His Highness Daga Khan. I mean, he gave me the opportunity of a lifetime. If he would not have invited me to initiate the program, and then personally taking interest, personally coming and seeing what I'm doing. I mean, as late as October 2019, the Pakistan Society, you know, which was set up by the English people, it held a dinner at Rochester, and somehow, I think Rashid Bajwa can tell you how it happened. They decided that I should be given the annual award, and then I invited His Highness to give it to me, and still was so happy. And so I think if you would not have given me that opportunity, probably I would not have been able to do it, because not only that he gave the opportunity, the thing which I was saying, that the resources, there were 11 donors who came up and supported AKRSP.
मैं ये कहना चाहूँगा सर कि राइट फ्रॉम अ पर्सन, एक टूटी फूटी कच्ची बस्ती में दूर दराज किसी गांव में बैठा हुआ एक शख्स, और फिर आगा खान, सब लोग यहाँ से गुर्बत की गहराई से लेके रिसोर्सफुलनेस और अमारत के जो बड़ी बड़ी शान शौकत वाले महल हैं, वो जो कहते हैं ना कि हम हुए तुम हुए कि मीर हुए, उनकी जुल्फों के सब असीर हुए। तो ये सब लोग हैं जो आपसे मोहब्बत करते हैं, गरीबों से लेके अमीरों तक। And that is because of your dedication, your passion and compassion, your love for humanity. तो कोई अल्फाज नहीं है मैं आपका शुक्रिया अदा कर सकूं, आपके बारे में लोगों को बता सकूं और आपकी खिदमात का हम अहाता कर सकें चंद मिनट में। ढूंढोगे अगर मुल्कों मुल्कों, मिलने के नहीं नायाब हैं हम। तो मैं अखुवत के बोर्ड ऑफ डायरेक्टर्स की तरफ से, हमारे दोस्त आपसे मोहब्बत करते हैं, हमायूं एहसान साहब हैं हमारे दोस्त, सलीम राजा साहब हैं, कामरान हैं, डॉक्टर इजहार हैं, खावर हैं, नज़ीर हैं। तो इसके अलावा हमारा सारा अखुवत के 7,000 साथी, फिर लाखों हमारे, आप यकीन कीजिए मैं अपने हर साथी को यही बताता हूँ कि ये सब जिस शख्स की मोहब्बत का फैज़ है उसका नाम शुएब सुल्तान खान है, और हम आपको बहुत बड़ा मुकाम देते हैं सब। ये हमारे लिए एजाज़ है कि हमने जो कुछ देखा आपसे, सीखा आपसे, समझा आपसे, सेल्फलेसनेस क्या होती है और कमिटमेंट क्या होती है। तो हम दिल की गहराइयों से आपके लिए दुआ गो हैं। आपने 90th बर्थडे का कहा, आई एम लुकिंग फॉरवर्ड 100th बर्थडे, जब आपसे मैं फिर मुखातिब होऊंगा آپ کی باتیں سنیں گے. آپ کی باتوں میں خوشبو ہے, محبت ہے اور زندگی اور ہوپ ہے. سب سے بڑی چیز جو آپ ہمیں دی, بہت سی اور چیزوں کے ساتھ, وہ ہوپ ہے. مین ود ہیٹ اینڈ مین ود ہوپ. سو آئی ایم سر ایکسٹریملی obliged and grateful. اللہ تعالیٰ آپ کو صحت پر زندگی کے ساتھ ہمارے سر پہ سلامت رکھے. بہت شکریہ.
بہت بہت شکریہ امجد. تو کیا میں کہوں, تمہاری تو جتنی تم تعریف کرتے ہو, مجھے پتا ہے میں اس قائل تو نہیں ہوں, لیکن تمہاری محبت ہے اور تمہاری اپنی انکساری ہے, کیونکہ تم تو مجھ سے کہیں آگے نکل چکے ہو, لیکن اس کے باوجود تم مجھے لاتے ہو بار بار. اور یہ تو میں تو بہت مشکور ہوں. اور بس میری تو یہی خواب ہے کہ پاکستان کے غریب سے غریب ترین جو ہیں ان سب تک ہم پہنچ سکیں اور ان کی مدد کر سکیں اور ان کے اس غربت کے چنگل سے نجات دلائیں, جس پہ تم بھی بہت بڑا کام کر رہے ہو. خدا تم کو کامیاب کرے. تو میں بہت مشکور ہوں تمہارا اس دبائی کا. شکریہ.
خدا حافظ سر. اور میں آپ کے بیہاف پر تمام سننے والوں کو اور تمام لوگوں نے جنہوں نے یہ آرگنائز کیا, ہماری اخوت کی ٹیم نے, آپ کی ٹیم میں سے کچھ لوگوں نے, اور سارے جو رورل سپورٹ پروگرام کے ہمارے دوست ہیں, ان کے لیے بھی ہم دعا کرتے ہیں. بہت شکریہ.
شکریہ.